Webheads, true believers, comic fans, welcome to another episode of Worthy Ones. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer. This is the video series where I take all the newest #1 comic books that I read for the comic book week and deem them worthy or not worthy. So if you find this entertaining and you love me helping you make decisions on what comic books to buy, guys, hit that subscribe button. And before we dive into it, I just want to give a quick shout out from JW Storytelling of his newest Kickstarter that's over halfway funded. Check out The Legend of Kyyden. The story? The kingdom of Solaire is under siege from the invading Ashen army. King Damien is running through the halls of his once grand castle, now full of flames, death, and destruction, dispatching foes along the way as he focuses on his goal to reach his wife and newborn son. However, before he can secure their safety, Damien will have to contend with a mysterious foe wielding the flames of darkness and a fierce grudge. So if you guys love this type of story, go on to Kickstarter, back it today, guys. And if you love independent creators, definitely back it. As little as $5 will definitely get you a digital copy. However much you want to donate, it definitely takes this project a long way. I will leave a link in the comments section pinned, and I will also leave the link in the comments section below. Thank you so much for taking the time and backing this project. Dead by Daylight 5, Issue 1. Yep. Guys, this is a video game series. I think it's a prequel. I never played any of the games before, so I have no idea what I'm getting myself into. But when it came to it, this book is a horror book. So I was like, all right, why not check it out? It's a prequel. It could be a lot of fun. I guess the big thing about this one is that it has the code on there to unlock stuff. I guess that's all I can say. I don't even know. So there you go. Exclusive content for the game. When it came to this book, though, and I looked at the artwork, I was kind of like, oh, this is just artwork that does not fit my style. I felt for a horror book, it seemed a little too cartoony. I didn't really like the facial expressions of some of the characters. We get to see this one guy, his name is Frank, and the funny thing is like, he has a skull on his shirt, so it like kind of reminds you like, okay, this guy's name is Frank, it's easy to remember, it's like Punisher, right? And he meets this girl, and he meets these friends, and they're bored, and they just want to make their mark on the town. And so one day, playing Truth or Dare, they're like, oh, let's, do something daring, and they spray paint the town, and it's just like their first step to doing something much evil. Not worthy. This book is absolutely not worthy for me. I was just bored by it. There was nothing going on. Maybe it takes place, or maybe it gets better, I should say, in the second issue. But there was nothing here that just really sat there and goes, oh man, like, this is going to be so much fun going forward. I want to see what these kids' adventures is and how they turn evil, or I don't know, man. This book's a D for me. I read it all the way through. I was kind of entertained, but I just sat there and go, I don't know. I don't care. Queen of Swords, Issue 1. This is from Vault, and this is a spin-off off of Barbaric. Now, I've been mentioning this for quite a while, and I said that I really wasn't a huge fan of like the spin-off characters. I really love Owen, who is the barbarian that has the axe that lusts for blood. And I was kind of skeptical about this book, but I decided to pick it up, saw what it had to offer, and let me tell you, I was actually quite surprised. These three characters, one's by the name of Deadheart, who is a barbarian, okay, and we get to see her on the front cover, so she's a barbarian. Then we get to see Sarah, who is an actual sorceress or witch that trained Soren, who is from the Barbaric comic, or from the Barbarian comic. And then we have Kai, who is an assassin, and she was part of the Assassin's Guild. And what this book really does a great job of is giving you kind of like the backstory of all our characters and where they came from, especially Sarah. who is the main witch-like character. And you get to see the cool adventures that these characters go along the way. So even though you're getting kind of like their origin story, you're still seeing them go through a current mission on trying to retrieve this orb, and how these three actually became a team with each other. The artwork is kind of gory and gruesome, but you gotta love the battle scenes, and you gotta love the interactions between the females. I was just about to show you a page I can't show you. But really, really great stuff here. This definitely surprised me. I'm gonna deem this book worthy. This is something that you can totally understand. Even if you did not read the Barbaric series, you can fall in love with these three female characters and go on this adventure with them, and that's what I love. I love that storytelling there. So I'm gonna give this book a B+. Definitely worth the recommend, guys. Check it out. Black Panther issue 1. Guys, I give Black Panther a try all the time. And to be honest with you, I just think that Black Panther is just not my guy. He's just a hero that I just can't get into. And it's kind of the same, unfortunately, with this issue. When you look at the artwork, though, in this book, it's absolutely gorgeous. This is a beautiful looking book. And you have a good writer on this book as well, which is Al Ewing. But Al Ewing is a hit or miss for me. Sometimes he tends to go off the wall and goes into places unknown that he just takes it too far, right? And in this book, I just felt, I don't know, like a little bored by it. Like, you know, Black Panther's around watching the Wakanda, and he's watching people, and he's doing his thing, and I was just bored. And I just didn't care. Like, it's just me, though. I really do think that's what all it is. I think people that like Al Ewing's writing might like this book. People that like Black Panther might like this book. This could be a really good start for everybody, but it's just me. There's just too much talking heads, not enough action in this book. And you know what? That's fine, because there's a lot of books where, you know, you start off and there's not action, and you're introducing the world, and you're introducing the character on where he's at this point in his life. But literally, when I mean talking heads, dude, they're everywhere. It's hilarious. But I just couldn't get into this book. The last page left for a crazy cliffhanger, and this is a spoiler, where you get to see Deathlock. And I'm like, man, will I continue that? Because I like Deathlock as a character, but I don't know. I'm going to deem this book not worthy. Again, it's not because it's not a well-written book, or that it's just poorly drawn or anything like that. It's just a character I could not get into, so hopefully you guys can respect that. For a grade, I can't really give it a fair grade, because I think I would do it a disservice. It's just not my style, so I'm going to put a grade of NA. So there you guys have it. Let me know what you thought of Black Panther. Haunt You to the End, issue 1, Top Cow Image. So this book, I didn't know what to expect. I got the variant cover for this book, and I was like, wow, this is a pretty creepy looking cover. Again, it's a horror book. I love horror, and if horror is done right, it could be an awesome read and just throw you for some great twists and turns. And the artist of this book is the same artist that did Bunny Mask. So if you guys are not familiar with Bunny Mask, this is the art that you can expect. It's definitely like a dark, dreary, like painted style of maybe watercolored artwork, right? So this book was quite interesting, as we have this rich guy who wants to discover this island that's gonna no longer be around in about a week's time, because we are in the year of 2050 here, and obviously the environment has gone to shit. Climate or global warming is a thing. The climate has gone downhill. Hurricanes, all kinds of disasters that happened, and Earth is falling apart, and eventually Earth will be inhabitable. But this rich guy wants to check out this most haunted island ever, like in the whole known world or United States or whatever it is. And before it goes away, he wants to investigate it. So he acquires an entire team of people, and it took a little while to get to the point of this book. Like, okay, let's get to this island, let's get on this mission. We get introduced to the people that are going on this mission with him, and right away as they fly over this island, bad things happen. The pilot that's on the plane that's taking them there is having a seizure, and they wind up having to actually crash land onto the island. That's how their adventure is going to get started here. And it was kind of creepy seeing this guy go through this, seizure, and having this soldier kind of go take the cockpit of the plane and fly it down, right? So already right from the start, there's bad stuff happening. But the guy was already going to be okay. They found the most haunted house on that island, and they're going to explore it. I'm going to deem this book worthy. This is fun. I'm looking forward to the second issue. Like I said, it took a little while to get to where it needed to get to, but once it did, I found myself vested into it. The beginning was a little bit confusing because we get to see our main character, the rich guy, before we got to him, we wound up getting to see this team of scientists explore everything, and then it was a recording, and then it goes to our main character. So I was a little confused of the beginning of this book, but maybe that's just a backstory or something that's foreshadowing. I don't know. We'll see. But if I had to grade this book, I'm definitely going to grade this book a B. A good, solid horror book. Can't wait to see what's coming next. Spider-Man India, issue 1. So really, I'm really on the fence about Spider-Man India. I'm so tired of Edge of Spider-Verse stuff when it comes to the comic books, at least anyway. It's I want a break from them. And so when I was Spider-Man India, do I need to know more about the, this type of Spider-Man? And I was well, let me try it, right? So right away, I got home. This was one of the first books I actually read, and when I was showing off my haul, I noticed the artwork on it, and the artwork was actually really good, and I was surprised. And then we get to see a triple-headed actual Mysterio, which was really cool, and just the action scenes and the battle scenes and everything that was going on in this book was awesome. And the great thing that you saw in this comic book is that you got to see all the 3 Spider-Man interact. Got Peter, Spider-Man India, and then we wind up getting to see Miles all interact in this book, which I thought was awesome. And the main character behind this is Kurt Connors, the lizard of this world in Earth. 50101. That's a lot of Earths, man. And we get to see Aunt May, and we get to see the struggles. It's very similar, all right, to what you have read in Spider-Man, right? But for some reason, it was just cool seeing this version of Kurt Connors and his transformation into the lizard, and I find myself intrigued. And I loved how this Kurt Connors was using Peter Parker as human trials to further enhance his lizard experiments, and that was great. And by the time you got to the last page, the lizard looked almost like a dragon. I was oh dude, that's pretty cool, man. So I'm deeming this book worthy. This was a lot of fun. Again, a lot of familiar tones. I've read this all before, but for some reason I want to keep reading it. It was great artwork and great characters, and it was almost better than Amazing Spider-Man. So I'm looking forward to the next issue. I'm going to give this one probably I'm going to give it an A-, man. I had a good time. So if you're on the fence about checking it out, check it out. Buy it. Read it. I think you'll like it. All right. I think this is the one you guys have been waiting for to hear my opinion on, and this is Void Rivals issue 1. Okay. So I put this book on my pull list a long time ago, even before the FOC came out. I just knew it was coming out, and I knew nothing about it. The only thing I knew about Void Rivals was Robert Kirkman was writing it, and I just read the premise about 2 people coming onto a same planet and they have to escape together. And a lot of people are saying it reminds them of the movie Enemy Mine. And that I remember seeing that movie when I was a kid, and after reading it, that totally makes sense, right? So when I got this book and I was reading it, people were like, yeah, Robert Kirkman's spoiling stuff online. Make sure you read this as soon as you get home. Didn't think anything of it, right? So I'm reading through this book, and the beginning of this book was actually entertaining. Spoiler aside, right? When we get to that point, the book was good as we get to see this main character who crash lands on the planet. He's trying to get medical help, and he has a talking glove. Like, that is so interesting. Like, his companion is a glove, and it's like a robotic glove, and it helps him in dire situations. So we see the crash that actually happens. We come across the two people. They're from different races, and they're forced to work together, and we get to see a relationship building here between the two characters, which I actually really appreciated there, because there was some good character growth right from the start. Robert Kirkman does that really well in his comics. Like, if you read Walking Dead, and if you read Invincible and Firepower, the character growth is always there, and it makes you feel for these characters and what they're going through. And as you see them go through their trials and tribulations and getting off this rock, they come across this different spaceship. And as a reader, when you see this spaceship here, you think nothing of it, right? So you think nothing of that actual spaceship, and you're like, okay, they're going to try to power it up and this and that. And then I'm looking at this for the first time, and I hear this weird sound in the panel, and I see this robot. And it took me a second to catch on. I'm like, wow, that looks like Jetfire. And then there was like literally a light bulb that went off. I'm like, wait a second. That is Jetfire. And that's before I read the next page. I'm like, this is it. This is the beginning of it. And you don't understand how pumped I was when I saw that panel. And then he introduces himself as Jetfire. And he's this scientist. And he just transforms and takes off. And I'm like, oh shit, this just happened. I couldn't believe it. And then you get to see these two going, well, what do we do now? And they unmask themselves and they show each other themselves. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I could not believe it. I was so side by side. So I'm going to deem this book worthy, absolutely worthy. And this had me so excited. I needed to talk to people when this happened. So I'm like messing my friend Brant, I'm messing my friend Kat. I'm like, did you read Void Rivals? Kat could care less about Transformers. It's not even, it's before her time, or G.I. Joe and stuff like that, right? But I was like, whoa, I'm like, Energon shared universe. I'm like, that's absolutely insane. And then I flip to the back page, the back cover, and it reveals everything. It reveals there's going to be a Duke issue 1 written by Joshua Williamson, a Cobra Commander issue 1 by Joshua Williamson. But the biggest thing that got me so excited, guys, was Transformers issue 1 by Daniel Warren Johnson, coming out in October. Daniel Warren Johnson that did Do a Powerbomb. He did Jurassic League. He did the Better Ray Bill series. He's done so much great stuff. And when I saw this, look at that cover. How does that not scream Optimus Prime? It's everything you love. And I was just completely beside myself. A+, 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 A+ for this book. It was a very well written book. It does a great job for exciting you for what's to come, right? And this is a great book for collectors. And the funny thing is I had no idea. And that's what makes comics so good. And unfortunately, we get spoiled so much. And I know people were spoiled ahead of time, before this released, but this is how comics used to be all the time towards people. When you had great cliffhangers and great story threads that were introduced and you weren't spoiled, your mind was blown. And that's when a comic does it the best. And I love that so much. And I just, oh my God, I was so excited. Even though I knew that these properties were coming, I didn't know it was going to be this soon. I'm so excited, guys. You have no idea. I have a little story real quick. When I was a kid, I remember for Christmas, I wound up getting Jetfire for Christmas. And I remember he came in this huge box because he's one of the bigger Transformers. The scale, the size for Transformers were weird, right? But Jetfire was huge. And I remember I opened this thing up and I was like, oh my God. And I held it up and I took a picture of it. I still have this picture to today. I just don't know where it is. I would have showed it here. But man, I just, he's a special Transformer. So when they introduced him first, I was like, oh, yes, yes, yes. So sorry to rant on, but yeah, I definitely say pick this book up. So there you guys have it. There is another episode of Worthy Ones. I want to know in the comments below, what do you deem worthy and not worthy this week? Do you share the same excitement as I did for Void Rivals? And guys, as always, I'm going to leave you more content right here to check out. And of course, guys, keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read those comics. Guys, I'll see you real soon. Take care. Bye.